Connor Zilisch is the most hyped young driver NASCAR has minted in years, and a three-time Cup champion just went out of his way to tell everyone to pump the brakes. Joey Logano did not do it with an insult. He did it with a compliment that had a hook buried inside it, and most of the reactions online only caught the compliment. They missed the part where Logano described the exact trap closing around the number 88 car, because Logano has stood inside that trap himself. So what did a champion see in Zilisch that the highlight reels keep hiding? And why would praising a 19-year-old sound more like a warning than a blessing? Here is why this lands harder than another rookie struggle story. When a rival needles you, it is noise. When your car owner defends you, it is politics. But when the one active driver chasing a fourth championship stops, unprompted, to describe your situation in detail, he is telling you he recognizes something. Logano was not reading Zilisch's stat line. He was reading his own. That is the piece nobody clipped, because it turns a friendly quote into something closer to a confession. The question was never whether Zilisch is fast. The question is what Logano saw coming that the rest of us keep waving off as bad luck. Zilisch earned the hype honestly. In his last full Xfinity season, he won 10 times, including 7 of the last 8 before the playoffs. A stretch so lopsided that Trackhouse Racing handed him a full-time Cup seat and renumbered a car to carry his number 88 into the sport's top division. Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen became his teammates. Red Bull money went on the door. On paper, this was not a prospect knocking. It was a prospect already through the door. And that is what makes these last 4 months so uncomfortable. Because the rookie season has not looked like a coronation. It has looked like a beating. Zilisch has already posted 9 finishes of 30th or worse. He strung together 3 straight last-place results around the Michigan weekend, spinning twice in one race before the car let go. Then came Chicagoland, where he got swept up on the opening lap after Ryan Preece spun in front of him, with nowhere to go but the inside wall. The talent did not vanish. The results just stopped agreeing with the reputation. This is where Logano stepped in, and he chose his words like a man who has run them through his head for years. He started generous. "I think he's better than I was at that age," Logano said, "and he seems to be more mature than I was at that age." That is the line everyone screenshotted. But he did not stop at flattery. He called the move up the largest jump in motorsports, period, then sharpened it. There's not a larger jump from talent level. A 3-time champion is not saying Cup is hard. He is saying this one step from the second tier to Cup is the hardest transition anywhere in racing. Then came the personal turn. "You can't drink your own Kool-Aid too much to where you think you're the next thing," Logano warned. "And then you're going to get here and fall on your face." And then 4 words most people skimmed right past. "I lived it. I've been there." That is the casual drop nobody built a thumbnail around. And it is the whole story. Because Logano is not speaking as an observer. He is sliced bread. Rewind almost 20 years. Joe Gibbs Racing anointed an 18-year-old Joey Logano as the next great thing, hung the nickname Sliced Bread on him, the greatest thing since, and dropped him straight into the Cup seat Tony Stewart had just vacated. The hype was total. The results were not. Logano won just twice in 4 seasons at Gibbs and never finished higher than 16th in the standings. By 2012, his days there were running out, and the phenom the sport had crowned was one contract cycle from a cautionary tale. What saved him was not talent. The talent was always there. What saved him was a second chance most anointed teenagers never get. Brad Keselowski vouched for him. Roger Penske took the gamble in 2013, and Logano went on to win 35 of his 37 career races and all 3 of his titles in Penske equipment. Penske has said Logano first had to shake off the sliced bread reputation. Sit with that. It is the centre of everything he is now telling Zilisch. The label almost cost him the career. Now set Zilisch's 10 Xfinity wins next to that. Everyone treats those wins as proof the kid is ready. Logano is telling you the opposite. The wins are the Kool-Aid. They are the exact thing that convinces a team, a sponsor and a 19-year-old that the biggest jump in motorsports is a formality. That is how the trap gets baited. Look at what Logano actually did. He stared at the most hyped teenager in the sport and, instead of feeding the hype, described the machinery that nearly chewed him up at the same age. People heard a veteran being nice to a rookie. What actually happened was a survivor pointing at a trap and saying he knows exactly how this one works, because it almost got him. This was never a compliment. It was a warning, wearing a compliment's clothes. And Zilisch already sounds like a kid who feels the teeth of it. After the Chicagoland wreck, he did not rage or point fingers. He posted a single line: "This sport will knock you down, but it's up to you to choose whether or not to stand back up." That is exactly the mature kid Logano praised. But maturity is not the same as protection, and here is the part that should worry Trackhouse. Logano had an escape hatch. Zilisch does not. When Gibbs and Logano ran out of road, Penske was right there with a car and a belief that the label had him wrong. Zilisch is already at the team that bet everything on him. They renumbered a car, hung Red Bull on it, and slotted him beside Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen. There is no cooler landing spot waiting if the hype curdles. This was never about whether Zilisch can drive. It is about whether the sport will let him be a rookie long enough to prove the label right, instead of demanding he prove it today. So take Logano's words for exactly what they are. Not a shot, not more hype. A three-time champion looked at Connor Zilisch and saw the one story he understands better than anyone, because he lived every chapter of it. The gift and the curse of being called the next big thing before the results exist to defend the title. Zilisch's talent is not the question. The 10 wins were real, the speed is real, and the problem was never the driver. The problem is the timeline everyone else is strapping onto him. A 19-year-old is being asked to justify a coronation in real time, in the hardest transition in motorsports, in a car that punishes the smallest mistake with no soft landing behind him. Logano survived the same trap on a second chance and a phone call from Brad Keselowski, and he is telling Zilisch not to count on either. That is not doubt about the kid. It is the most honest thing anyone in the garage has said about him all year. So the next time someone calls Zilisch a lock for a championship, ask the question Logano was really asking. Is the sport building this kid up or setting him up? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.